Now, there's no doubt about it that I flame these drivers more than I probably should. But why do I do that? I mean, the fact that they've been driving their whole entire lifetime, not even just career, their whole lifetime, getting paid absolutely millions and millions of whatever currency they get paid in, and still, sometimes they put up performances like they're just first time sitting in a car and just crash into someone for absolutely no reason. And the fact that they've spent their whole lifetime dedicated to this and still are sometimes that poor, unfathomable. But with that said, today is the day where we absolutely flip that on its head and make a change for the better. Change for something good, something positive, which is surprising. Because today, I'm going to be complimenting every single Formula 1 driver. Now, for some, this might be a bit easy because some just are absolute goats. But some, well, if they were playing prop hunt and tried to change into a garbage can, they wouldn't change because guess what? They are already a garbage can. No difference whatsoever. But I'm going to try to muster up at least one compliment or something good about that driver, no matter what. Now, a lot of thought had to go into this. My brain was looking like a Megamind for a couple hours. Because genuinely complimenting some of these drivers is very, very difficult. So, I hope you can appreciate me trying to compliment some of these drivers, but some, it was generally difficult to pick something out. I think it's best we start with Daniel Ricciardo, a driver that gets flamed maybe a tiny bit too much on this channel, but as I said, today's the day that changes. It changes. Now, yes, he might have been absolutely dominated by Verstappen, absolutely dominated by Lando Norris, and the fact that still he has the urge to prove himself and get back into a pretty poor seat and try to prove himself is a good thing. And that honestly is a hard thing to do because most drivers, if they've been booted out of a team, they don't want to go back, or they genuinely can't because they are that poor. Fair enough, Daniel Ricciardo did get a little lucky that Nick de Vries was a total shitter. But he's trying his best in each race, getting better and better compared to Yuki, and slowly getting his mojo back. And that is something that I want to see because Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull seat would be a force to be reckoned with. Maybe he still just needs a tiny bit more time, get adjusted with everything, and soon enough, he will be putting up numbers that would send Yuki to the Shadow Realm. He'll be shaking in his boots. And let's not forget that in China, Daniel Ricciardo also did finish ahead of Yuki, which is impressive because knowing his struggles this year, fair enough, he finally did it. In Daniel Ricciardo, we all believe he will be there. He will be back up to his former glory. Carlos Sainz has never been the shining star in any team that he's ever been at, because there's always someone else, or he's just not performing as good as he is compared to his teammate. But 2024 is a different season. Not only has he been booted out, disrespected on by Ferrari, in replacement of Lewis Hamilton, who is, well, he's about to hit his retiring age, and just hit his 75th birthday. Happy birthday to him. But the fact that he's been dropped, and well, Ferrari doesn't want him, and neither does any other team, nor Audi, because those conversations has pretty much stopped. The fact that he's still putting up more numbers than Charles Leclerc, getting more wins, more podiums, would have more points if he didn't bleed out in Jeddah, and last year he was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race. The fact that those numbers are still creeping out of nowhere, honestly impressive, because some drivers, if they disrespected by their team, their performances would be dwindling to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, take Nick de Vries for an example. Christian Horner, no faith. Helmut Marko, no faith. And where did he end up? Oh, he's not in the sport anymore. So the fact that Carlos Sainz has that much resilience, determination to get back into a top team after genuinely being disrespected, you've got to pay respect where respect is due, because that is impressive. And the fact that he's been better than Charles Leclerc, Charles Leclerc, the quali god, and Carlos Sainz is dominating. Respect, man. Respect. Logan Sargeant is a driver that has pretty much never been complimented by anyone. So today is a first, again, because he's going to get complimented. And you know what? I've had to muster up a lot of ideas for this. A lot of jotting down on pieces of paper what is a good compliment for Logan Sargeant. And over the last, well, 2 years, I've thought of some good ideas, or, well, a couple good ideas to compliment Logan Sargeant. You know what? Fair enough. He got into Formula 1. He got 5th place in Formula 2. people wouldn't really pay attention to that. But the fact that he managed to scramble himself a Formula 1 seat, fair play. Respect where respect is due because, well, there's only 20 drivers on the grid, and he's one of them. So in theory, he is the 20th best racing driver on the planet at the moment. And now, yes, there has been a lot of Formula 1 drivers in the past, and some sink and some swim. I mean, Nikita Mazepin, 1 season in Formula 1, 0 points, genuinely poor. Logan Sargeant, on the other hand, 2 seasons, 1 point. Now, is that an upgrade, or is that an upgrade? The fact that he's scored a point? Wow. The fact that he's been in Formula 1 for 2 seasons? Even bigger wow. No sarcasm whatsoever. So, congrats Logan Sargeant for making your dream come true. At the end of last season, Checo Perez was being flamed and flamed and flamed. Not even just at the end of last season. Since Australia, that's it. Well, that's the beginning of the season. He was being flamed and flamed by everyone, including myself, for being an absolute trash driver. And he's just taken up a genuinely good seat. Someone else could be in there and potentially contesting Max Verstappen for a championship, because there's no way Perez can do that. But that was last year, and I thought his poor performances would carry on into this year. But it seems like he's genuinely shushed the haters, including myself. Because he has genuinely been what Red Bull needed all of these years. He is doing what he is supposed to do. Not winning races, but scoring decent podiums, solid P2s, P3s, and a P5. But he did a damage, so he's doing everything that Red Bull have asked him to do, and now I don't see him being dropped. Now, is that because Daniel Ricciardo is... Well, Daniel Ricciardo isn't good at the moment. Or is it because Checo Perez is actually doing a good job? Well, either way, you gotta give props where props is due. Because last season, nor did I think that Checo Perez was gonna be in the Red Bull seat, but in an actual good seat. No way! He silenced everyone. And that's impressive to do, because to flip the script like that takes a good driver. So, Checo Perez? Fair enough. I think it's best if we just get Max Verstappen out of the way, because for him to be performing at the level that he currently is astounding. Week in, week out, nothing's gonna stop him unless his car blows up, or they go wrong with the setup. They're the only way someone can stop him. Or if someone just absolutely sends in a dive bomb down into turn 1 and breaks his front suspension, and then he's out of the race. They're the only ways somebody can stop him. Well, number 1, no one is going to dive bomb him because he's 20 seconds up the road. Number 1, that is impressive as fuck. And number 2, to have a Formula 1 team basically based around you, impressive. I don't remember the last time Max Verstappen genuinely made a mistake on his own, and when he does make a mistake, say in quali, then, well, he will make it up.
Max Verstappen starts 14th, winning the Belgium Grand Prix!
Absolutely light work. It's like he's not even trying. He's in that car, probably listening to Katy Perry or Taylor Swift and just vibing to his own music, looking at the crowds, waving to his fans down the straight, because he has an abundant amount of those. And by the end of the race, he gets up on the podium and he can hear his favorite tune, well, ever. And no one's gonna stop him because it's Verstappen's world that we're living in. You see, usually if someone said the word hungry, I'd think of, well, Gorlock the Destroyer. Someone who is hungry for food and just stops in McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, everything down their fucking throat at once. But Fernando Alonso is a driver that is hungry and has been hungry for so many years, because when was the last time he won a championship? Pretty sure that was back in the 80s, but the fact that he hasn't won a championship in, well, let's be real, since 2006, and he's still hungry and still joining teams in hopes to still win one all of these years later, shows his dedication. And drivers may be dedicated, but their pace will fall off the older they get. I mean, look at Kimi Räikkönen, look at Seb Vettel. Vettel was dominated by a young buck in Charles Leclerc, and Lance Stroll was pretty much equaling pace to him. So either Lance Stroll was an absolute genius back then, or Vettel fell off. And I think it's the latter, because sticking Alonso into that same exact car, Stroll is being dominated. He has never fallen off, he's always been fast, and he will always be fast. Even when he retires, he will be absolutely insane. And still, arguably the best driver in Formula 1 ever in history, even though he only has 2 world championships. Would have been more if things panned out, well, a different way. Now, everybody flames Lance Stroll for being in Formula 1 because his dad owns the team. And realistically, If his dad didn't own the team, then he would have been booted out of Formula 1 ever since his first practice session. Or that's what people say and that's what people think. But no, not really, because he got into the team on merit, well, pretty much. He was a beast in Formula 3, a beast in Formula 2, and he got into Williams just on his own pure pace. Now yes, his dad did sponsor the team and gave the team a lot of money for him being in that team, but him having a pole position and a couple podiums to his name, no one can discredit that, and no one can take that away from him. He had some stellar performances last year, at the start of last year, near at the end of last year. Agreed the mid-season was kinda rocky. But maybe Lance Stroll just needs a tiny bit more time. Maybe 10 years of experience and not 7. Maybe then he'll be good and be able to fight for championships. But hey, he will be the most experienced driver in Formula 1 ever, because when he's 80 years old, he'll still be in the team. Because his dad owns the team? No. Because he has some serious pace up his sleeve that he just isn't showing, and he's holding it back from everyone. And also, his interviews after races are my favorite things of all time. Sometimes you might get one word, sometimes two, sometimes an entire sentence, or sometimes a paragraph. You don't know what's gonna come out of his gob, and I love that. Now agreed that Lewis Hamilton might have fallen off in the last couple seasons. Might be him, or might be his car and his team, because they've been questionable ever since that day. But him pretty much winning a race every single season that he's competed in, except for the last couple of seasons. Him being a 7-time world champion, pretty much having a 50% championship win ratio, 103 wins, 104 pole positions, nothing can be taken away. He is the greatest of all time, in some people's opinions, and will always remain in the history books. Everyone will always be talking about him the same way people talk about Schumacher. He will never leave anyone's conversation. And yes, he might have had a bad couple seasons, but the fact that he's going to Ferrari, the fact that he's still that relevant, that at his ripe age of 63, Ferrari still want to pick him up in replacement of one of the best drivers on the grid at the moment. And if he manages to win a championship with Ferrari, because Ferrari every year they say next year will be our year, if next year is genuinely Ferrari's year and he scrambles his 8th world championship and beats Schumacher's record, no one will ever disrespect him ever again in any way, shape or form. You see, on one hand, Verstappen might be a record breaker, most wins in a single season, etc, 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 etc. Lando Norris, he is also a record breaker, the most podiums without a single win. Not only has he attempted to win and failed on many occasions, his resilience to keep on going and keep on pushing for that win. I mean, at the start of this year, he even said, this year will be my year. This year, I'm easily winning a race. And you know what? Fair enough, but then turn 1 China came around. But that's besides the point. Raw pace, he is literally pretty much equaling Max Verstappen, given equal machinery. I mean, you saw him last year in that McLaren. He was a rocket ship, genuinely. It wasn't the car, because Piastri was, well, he was doing all right, but you could genuinely see Lando Norris' raw talent, raw pace. No doubt about it. Give him an actual good car, a car that can compete for championships, and he will be up there. He will be battling and probably will be winning, that is, if he gets a tiny bit more luck than Verstappen. And we can only pray for that to happen, because a championship between Norris and Verstappen would be the most respected championship between those two, and the most entertaining to see. And if you also scrap Alonso and Hamilton to that mix, the greatest season potentially of all time. I'm all here for it, and I'm here for Lando getting a better car because he genuinely deserves one. Also, the fact that he put an 8-time race winner in his place in Daniel Ricciardo and kind of ended his career single-handedly. Valtteri Bottas at one point was one of the best drivers in Formula 1, but now he's more focused on his body, more focused on his hair, and more focused on his calendars. In that time where Lewis Hamilton won 4 championships, they both won 5 constructors, Bottas managed a grand total of 10 wins, and was what Mercedes needed at the time, a solid secondary driver who was sometimes a giga chad.
To whom it may concern you.
Defended for his life to help Hamilton win championships, gave up positions to help Hamilton win championships. It was generally the best combination on the grid. It was what Mercedes needed at the time, and that was perfect. And for him, in his brain, to know that he isn't going to win a championship, he's just there to help Lewis Hamilton win championships and Mercedes win Constructors' championships. It's genuinely difficult to do, because in anyone, they just want to win themselves, and for Valtteri Bottas to basically be that one sacrificial lamb, well, it's a hard thing to process, but the fact that he managed to do it, and managed to do it at such a high level, wow. Now, Leclerc is a driver that gets complimented pretty much all the time. The golden boy of Formula 1, the best qualifier in Formula 1 on the grid. But what really has to be complimented is the fact that he's going to be in Formula 1 for 10, he's going to be at Ferrari for 10 seasons when his contract expires in 2029. The fact that he won't probably win a championship and still be smiling with absolute glee will be, well, kind of sad to see, but kind of cool as well. But every time he steps out of that Ferrari seat, his smile is very much turned upside down, because he's either in the wall or Ferrari have managed to screw him over. And the fact that he's still signing contracts with Ferrari left, right and center like it's nobody's business means a lot. And what else means a lot is the amount of fans that he has, the amount of people that are supporting him, and the day that he actually wins a championship with Ferrari, because let's be real, he will one day or another, will be the day that, woo, next year will be our year, and maybe next year will be his year as well. Now, Alex Albon's determination has to be studied, because in Red Bull, he was dropped from Red Bull for an entire season. Now, usually when that happens, when a driver is dropped and isn't in the sport to the next season, they usually don't return. They're gone forever, nobody wants to see them, they are irrelevant, they're yesterday's news. But in the case of Alex Albon, he was picked up by Williams, saved by grace. And he wasn't just picked up, because he really was picked up. He picked up his pace, he picked up the team, he single-handedly scored them good point. 2022 was a good season for him. 2023 was even better, where it was literally his team. He was at the top of the world. He was one of the best drivers in Formula 1. 27 points compared to his teammates 1? It is single-handedly the Alex Albon team at this point, because Logan Sargeant's not doing anything, and it's just Alex Albon. Now yes, their car has fallen off this year, but I can guarantee you, put him in a good car, he will be up there, he will be great. It's pretty much impressive getting into Formula 1 in the first place, so anyone who has ever raced in Formula 1 has pretty much my full respect, and drivers who do even better than just competing in a Formula 1 race, fair play to you. Anyway, you guys do the slandering for me, slander the drivers down in the comments, because that's really what's actually entertaining. Hope you enjoyed the video, and whilst you're down there in the comments, subscribe and like. Have a safe and fantastic rest of your day, don't die, and peace.